y'all. Bad Mike told you time and time again.
All right, what's going on, people? Your boy, man, Mike, coming at you again with another video. So, yes, this is news coming out of the NFL. Um, this one is something we all adore, something we're fighting for, searching for fame, losing fame, fortune, but something we all adore. Yeah, fame. Something worth fighting for. Yeah, so no, you guys, this is hella interesting. Okay, so first of all, how y'all doing today? Yep, y'all know I'm definitely gonna have something to say about this. So according to several sources, those people was gone. Um, throw that red and black in the chat. If y'all hear me okay, do that for me real quick. Cause Georgia Texas boy, how you doing? Sonya, how you doing, girl? Um, see, one thing about me, I'm hit to the game to a certain extent. You feel me? Anybody can be mistaken, get something wrong, but my bullshit media, oh, that shit is on high alert. That shit is on high alert. Ain't no way you gonna sit there. So I'm gonna read a few excerpts of this article about Mark Raimondi. Obviously, you guys. Um, um, we had Mark Raimondi on, talk about the Atlanta Falcons, and he has a book going out right now. If you guys want to check that out, and that book is the NWO. No, Word Order. Okay, yeah, he has that book out. So if you guys want to check it out with Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan, all those types of guys, and how the NWO pretty much changed the world of media, fandom, all that type of stuff. You might want to check that book out. But um, he wrote an article, ESPN. So let me just let me. This is fucking hilarious. Okay, so let me just read this article. Kurt said he might have resigned with the Minnesota Vikings last season had he known the Atlanta Falcons would draft a quarterback in the first round. For the first time publicly, the veteran opened up on his feelings about the Falcons taking Michael Penix with the eighth pick overall, 24 draft, and the episode Netflix quarterback. Okay, Kirk Cousins said he felt a little bit misled when the Falcons took Penix that high. Okay, listen to that. He felt misled when the Falcons took Penix that high. The Falcons had Kirk Cousins signed to a contract worth $100 million guaranteed just a few weeks earlier, tabbing him as a quarterback for 2024. All right, we'll go down a little bit and um, Kirk Cousins said he was aware. Okay, this is where this whole alleged I was misled about it. He said Cousins said he was aware the Falcons might draft a quarterback, Okay, okay. I'm gonna get y'all comments, but I want you to read. I want you guys to listen as I read. Okay, he was aware the Falcons might draft a quarterback, but definitely not that high. He wasn't informed about the Penix pick until the phone call by offensive coordinator Zach Robinson while Atlanta was on the clock. Okay, this is his statement. Certainly, if I had the information around free agency, it certainly would have affected my decision, Kirk Cousins said on the first episode of the season. I had no reason, listen to this, I had no reason to leave Minnesota with how much we love it there. If both teams are going to be drafting a quarterback high, let me read that again, okay? So, because man, I think this is very important. I had no reason to leave Minnesota with how much we love it there if both teams are going to be drafting a quarterback high. But I've also learned in 12 years in this league that you're not entitled to anything. It's all about being able to earn your spot and prove yourself. Okay? So, I want to go further down. Um, because I want you guys to take this up also. Um, I want to get to this one. Okay, Cousins appeared on the Falcons injury report only once after the hit. And we're talking about the hit where he took. He said he got hit, and Cousins appeared on the Falcons injury report after a hit week 11 after that game, a loss at Denver Broncos. Cousins claimed he was 100%. The quarterback Cousins admitted he didn't want to sit and rest the arm, giving way to Penix because he wasn't sure if he'd get his job back. The information I had at the time, I made the best decision. Okay? Listen to this. The information I had at the time, I You hear this? I made the best decision, Kirk Cousins. You also know that if you sit down week 10 and take 2 or 3 weeks or more to let it heal, you may never get your job back. Okay? Everybody follow me? Throw some red and blacks and some emojis in there. Throw some thumbs up or something. If y'all follow me. Okay? This is very important. You will never get your job back. You may never get your job back. I remember reading Drew Brees' book back in 2010 when he first wrote it. How he made the point that he tried to never let his backup see the field, even if it was somebody who was really no threat. Okay, this is his word, so I'm not making any of this up. He made the point that he tried to never let his backup see the field, even if it was somebody who was really no threat. Listen to this now. Like I said, follow. He just felt like you should never do that. Doug Flutie taught him that. So that was something I always was aware of. That in this league, if you give someone else a chance, if you want to get Wally pipped, whatever the hell that means, and there's Lou Gregg behind you. Okay, I'm fine. If Lou Gregg is behind you, that can happen at the time. The Falcons did eventually bench Kirk Cousins. Penix took over and played solid and went 1-2 with the Falcons. Okay, okay. So I'm gonna go down a little bit further down this article. I'll pin it in the comments after I'm done, so you guys can read it for yourself. But this is his last. This is his quote. It hurts to go into work, but you got to be an adult. Kurt said about being bitch. You got to be a grown man and handle it with maturity. I feel sorry for myself, and it's hard to do, but that's what you got to do. And so that's kind of where my focus went. Y'all hear this? I wanna ask you guys a question because the six man at K Styles said all along. The six man, aka Mr. K Styles, said it all along. We've said it all along that nobody believes a damn thing that this piece of absolute garbage says. I told y'all, don't get so caught up in, oh, he's a Christian. This dude ain't no Christian. Real Christians don't lie and deceive, okay? They don't lie and deceive. We're talking about people that really believe that. He looked out for his fucking self. This was never about the team. You talking about you shouldn't have left. Hold on. Before I get into my points, I want to read you guys' comment. Okay. In the middle. Look, that's the sit your goofy ass down award right here. This is a disgruntled baby mama. Hey man. Um, Kirk Cousins was a very expensive smokescreen. If we didn't have him, people would probably jumped us for pennies. I mean, a lot of people didn't think the Falcons would do that. So I actually agree with that. If the Falcons did not sign Kirk Cousins, I don't think the Atlanta Falcons would have been able to get Michael Penix. I think it was a very smart idea for Terry Fontenot, and this is why I think he's an absolute genius, and the Falcons should not even think about trading this guy. I mean, firing this guy because it was a brilliant move. I don't think people realize how brilliant that was. That was a huge smoke screen. They would have never been able to get him at 8 if the Falcons, because teams know when in certain organizations they are in need for a quarterback, so they're willing to do certain things. So they'll try to jump ahead of a team because they know this team needs a quarterback. Well, the Falcons had already signed Kirk Cousins, so it was a brilliant move for Terry Fontenot to say, "All right, we got our guy, but this is the guy for our future, and I know we can get him if we pull this move." So what Terry Fontenot and those guys did in the front office, they gave the illusion that they weren't looking for a quarterback just so they can pick up the guy that they wanted all along, which was Michael Penix. So I wholeheartedly agree with you there, sir. Um, so Georgia Texas boy said, "Why do you leave Minnesota?" Because look, we know why he did it. This is why this guy is such a fucking piece of absolute crap. He's a liar. This dude is a liar, and he continues to lie time and time again. He's doing is lying. He's trying to cover himself. If you had no reason to leave Minnesota, what the fuck did you leave for? You're a happy guy. They're paying you. You got guys like Justin Jefferson, Addison. Yo, you have talented for the offensive line, the offensive players, tight ends, running backs. You got a load of talent there, a load of good coaches there, and you telling me you had no reason to leave, but you left for what? Because the Falcons didn't have a receiver at the time. You had a young guy in Drake London. You had a young guy in Kyle Pitts, but they didn't have a valuable number two until they went out and signed Darnell Mooney, and then they brought in Ray McLeod. They did all of this for you, so you already had weapons in Minnesota. But you're trying to tell me you had no reason you should have just stayed? Well, if you should have stayed, if you loved it there, why did you leave? Hit, and we know why. It's the money. Kirk Cousins never cared about anything other than money. This is absolute proof. I loved it there. So why the hell did you try to put them in a position where they had to choose between them building that team properly and you? Bro, you 34, 35 years old coming off of an Achilles injury. You didn't give a flying fuck about the organization and them players. And now, since you in a position where you don't have any leverage, now you want to sit up here and tell the media lies, and everybody lies and say, "Oh, I had no reason to leave Minnesota." When why the fuck did you leave? It's a lying sack of shit. Storm said, "I don't even know why you keep That's it. I don't, man. Just shut up, bro." Yes, he's look, Corey, bro. Like he's still talking. Like this dude, he's so upset. If you want to be traded, you should look. Why are you trying to act like the victim? You have a no trade clause, and you said the Atlanta Falcons. You wanted the Atlanta Falcons to trade you after the after the draft. So you still trying to pull power moves, try to act like you the fucking victim. If you want it gone, don't tell people that you have a no trade clause. Waive it immediately. Say I want out of here. That's not a victim. A victim don't have choices other than get your ass whipped or get slapped. In this situation, you had already gotten paid. You got your bread. What the fuck is you a victim for? What are you a victim of, Kurt? Smooth see what's going on, Pimp. So, look, I'm gonna get to this because I told y'all, I told you. So back down memory lane. Let me tell y'all. Let me take a trip down memory lane. Do y'all remember how the Atlanta Falcons end up getting docked for picks? Throw a thumbs up in there. Throw a number two or something in there. If y'all remember how the Atlanta Falcons end up getting docked. Y'all remember how the Atlanta Falcons end up getting docked? This is how I'm gonna tell y'all how of a piece of shit Kirk Cousins is. Okay? I'm about to tell y'all this dude, this fake ass Christian. Like I said, I'm a Christian guy myself, but this dude is a fake ass selfish some bitch. This is why he's full of absolute shit. This is why I'm telling y'all this dude is back. Y'all remember how the Atlanta Falcons got docked for draft picks? Hmm? So the Atlanta Falcons were docked um draft pick, and I think it was 100,000, if I'm not mistaken. I forget what it was. But we got fined for tampering. We got fined for tampering. Y'all remember that? Hmm? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Atlanta Falcons have been penalized by the NFL for violating the league's anti tampering policy and free agency period. The Falcons were had to have an improper contact with quarterback Kirk Cousins, wide receiver Darnell Mooney, and Charlie Warner before free agency period began. As a result, the Atlanta Falcons will forfeit a fifth round pick in 2025 and pay $250,000 fine. And this league general manager Terry Fontenot has been fined $50,000. Let me ask y'all something. How would the Atlanta Falcons even know to hit him up? Hmm? How would the Atlanta Falcons even know that he's even thinking about becoming a free agent? Even thinking that can even talk to Kurt. It's Kurt. Kurt did it. Kurt did it. He concocted this whole cockamamie bullshit scheme because he didn't get what he wanted from Minnesota. Minnesota said, "No, Kurt, you're hurt. We need to look. We need to look out for our future because you're getting older. On top of it, you hurt, bro." So Kurt pitched a hissy fit in Minnesota, and he snuck behind the organization, and he started talking to old Princess Raheem. Okay, he started communicating. He told his little gangsters and his soldiers to go. Hey, man, go. I can't talk to Raheem, so I need for you to send this message to him for me. That's what this is what he did. I promise you. I need you to go holler at Raheem and see what he talking about. They in turn got in touch with a few guys because it was actually a trainer with the Atlanta parlay the message to the Atlanta Falcons. This is what Kirk Cousins wanted. So the Falcons got fined for that. All this is documented. Okay? Raheem knew he was doing some bullshit. He knew all along that Kirk Cousins wanted out. So Raheem, being that he has ties to Minnesota and he got ties to Kirk Cousins because he coached him in Washington, he was there coaching with him in Washington. He was coaching. But he was coaching with when Kirk Cousins was a young rook. So he knows this guy. So what Kirk Cousins, what does Raheem does? He tells Zach Robinson, "Hey Zach, I think I can get Kirk Cousins. I know you want a young quarterback, but I think we can get Kirk Cousins so we can start winning right now. I don't want to have to, start off, losing. I don't want to have to do. I want to win now. The Falcons want to win now. So we're gonna do them a favor. Bring in a guy. I think I can get. I've already talked to Kirk Cousins, and I know I can get Kirk Cousins signed with the Atlanta. But it's gonna be 1 or 2 years. I'm gonna bring him in about 1 or 2 years." This is what Raheem said to Zach Robinson. Zach said, "Okay, I'm good with that." How do I know that? Because Zampezi. Anybody know Zampezi? Zampezi was brought in to be the liaison between Zach Robinson and Kirk Cousins because he's already had prior um, history with Kirk Cousins. So he was there to try to kind of help marry the two systems of what Kirk Cousins like to do with Zach Robinson. So he was supposed to be that. That's why they brought Zampese in there. Zampese, look at his position with the Atlanta Falcons. Raheem knew this all along. He knew it was edgy. It was something. How you doing, Chris? DJ, Brian Peace, Michael Walker. How y'all doing in there, man? But he knew all along what he was getting into. Victor, how you doing, sir? But he knew all along with this, when you talk about Kirk Cousins, he knew exactly what was going on. Kirk Cousins knew that he was playing with fire, but he didn't care because he knew he was going to get $100 million paycheck for breaking the law. Break the law, break the law. Yeah, he knew he was going to get $100 million for breaking the law. He didn't care. The Atlanta Falcons organization, if you look at the moves that they made, Terry Fontenot say, yeah, we got to take a chance on this. I promised Mr. Blank that we would get this quarterback position right, and he took a chance. Terry Fontenot took a chance of getting in trouble, and he did get in trouble. So what happened was he listened to Raheem and getting Kirk Cousins to sign with the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins knew he didn't give a fuck because he was getting paid. He didn't give a fuck if he turned on the Vikings fans. He didn't give a damn if he left his teammates because Kirk Cousins was getting paid. If it was gonna be a slap on the wrist for taking that, if they were gonna say, "Hey, we just gonna lose a first, we're gonna lose a fifth round pick," I'm gonna take this chance. The Atlanta Falcons said, "Okay." Kirk Cousins said, "Okay, this is gonna be a slap on the wrist." They knew that. Raheem knew this. Kirk knew this. So he turned on the Minnesota Vikings organization because they didn't want to give a 35-year-old guy coming off of a Achilles injury $50 million plus dollars, $100 million. It's a huge risk that we eventually lost out on. The Falcons lost out on because of that. So in turn, Minnesota Vikings made the right decision in the end. We did not make the right decision. However, the Falcons covered themselves. And this is the smart thing about what the Atlanta Falcons did. The Atlanta Falcons said, "Yeah, we got Kirk Cousins." Sean Bolo, what's going on? Yeah, we got Kirk Cousins. Yeah, we got Kirk Cousins, a terrific quarterback in his own right. But if this shit don't go right, we're gonna be fucked up. And Arthur Blank really gonna be pissed off, and he gonna fire everybody else. So get what the Atlanta Falcons did. They had an opportunity to get Michael Penix, and they said, "Look, Kurt gonna be mad, but I don't give a fuck. I gotta save my ass." This is the smartest thing that Terry Fontenot did. He covered his own ass yet again. It did not work out with Kirk Cousins in the long run, and he knew it was a huge risk. He knew this was a huge risk from the very beginning, bringing in a guy that was injured and had he's been up and down. Hasn't been one of those quarterbacks that look at his playoff records, not very favorable, not very successful. He knew this. So what did he do? He said, "Look, I got a chance to get one of the best quarterback throwing in leaders in this draft. I'm not passing this up because if this shit don't work out with Kirk Cousins, I want my job. So I'm gonna cover my ass. Kirk is gonna have to be mad." Terry Fontenot said he's just gonna have to be mad because I'm not losing my job over this shit. No, over a risk that wasn't that smart to begin with. It's a risk. And the fact that Kirk Cousins said he wasn't sure that the Atlanta Falcons was going to draft one that high, he didn't say the Falcons never lied to say they weren't going to draft a quarterback by his own admission. This is his own admission, Kirk Cousins. He stated that he wasn't sure the Atlanta Falcons was going to draft a quarterback that high. He never said that he was that the Atlanta Falcons weren't going to draft one. He just said he didn't expect them to draft one that high. Hmm? Follow me, y'all? So this is the funny part when it all comes down to this. And then in this article, he goes on to say in this article, which is the funniest part, one of the funniest parts to me, is freaking hilarious. And this is the worst part about this. This dude literally, we talk about he's going to do the right things for the team. He's going to be a leader. He's going to do all this. But he goes in this article to state in the interview that what he was going to do. He was not going to let Michael Penix get in, even if he was hurt. Even if it was going to cost the organization and the team wins. He was not going to let his backup and the team win. He did not care. He didn't care. He was not going to let Michael Penix in if he could help it. He was not going to let. He was not going to have it. The article states this. So when you look at this is the funny and crazy part about this. He's telling everybody that he did. He look. He all these lies. I was 100%. How are you gonna say you 100% and then a few months later, a few weeks later, in this quarterback series, you say I knew I was hurt. I just didn't want Michael Penix to get in. This man literally just told y'all right here in this article in that interview that he knew he was fucking hurt. He told the organization when he knew he was hurt. When we was on the way to a playoff berth, all we had to do was win 2 games. He did not care. He lied to these guys time and time again. I wasn't hurt. I'm 100%. I could go. I could go. Just to sit up here and tell a straight up lie. He knew all along that he was a liar and he was deceiving the Atlanta Falcons. And this is where all this Christianity bullshit goes out the fucking door because he's not no real Christian. I don't give a damn what nobody say. He was he was willingly deceiving, lying, and being selfish. And the article states, and he gave his reasoning behind doing so. Now that sounds like somebody that is a Christian, a guy of good faith. willingly deceiving and screwing people? Does that sound like a nice Christian guy to y'all? This is supposed to be a team game. And this is why I'm looking at, and this is why I'm looking at Raheem like he's an absolute piece of shit because you knew the whole time. You knew the whole time this dude wasn't 100%. You knew the whole time this dude was 100%. You knew it that he wasn't 100%. Put him on the injury list because the coach is the one that put him on the training staff and the coach. They go over it and they put him on the list and then take him off. Say, all right, he's 100%. But what Raheem tried to do, he tried to cover it up for Kirk. He tried to be booty buddies with Kirk Cousins because he brought him here, and he wanted to be known as the player's coach. So what did he do? He covered up for Kirk Cousins week after week, press conference after press conference. Go back and listen to it. Press conference after press conference. Man, Kirk Cousins give us the best chance. Kirk Cousins is the reason why we're here. Kirk Cousins here. That man was glazing Kirk Cousins like no other. He knew he was hurt. He put him on the list. And then not even, a day later, you go on a report, Kirk Cousins not on the report anymore. Terry Fontenot did an interview saying he was on the list. He was on the list because he was trying to cover his ass. Because Raheem was not seeing eye to eye with this. Him and Kirk Cousins were not seeing eye to eye to this. He said, nope, Kirk was on there. I don't know what Raheem did, but I ain't got nothing to do with this. You can go back and listen to Terry say this. He did. I believe it was if I'm not mistaken, it was the before the draft interview. He did that before the draft interview where he talked about this. So when you look at all of this, is it Kirk Cousins and Raheem? I don't know why people like trust this guy. I don't know why you trust either one of these guys. None of these guys have shown that they would do the right thing when it comes down to the team. Raheem gonna do whatever best for him. How do I know this to be true? Guess what? It's a history. Go back to when the Atlanta Falcons, and this is you can go back and look at it for yourself. Players came out and said Raheem wasn't the guy that put their game plan together when they were played the Kansas City Chiefs. Raheem said he did it. Players, I believe it was Willie Moore. I'm not certain on that, but I do remember the linebacker or safety that came out and said, no, it's Keanu O'Neal. I think it was Keanu O'Neal that came out and said, um, dang it, Dave, he was a linebacker coach. He used to be the linebacker coach for the Chiefs. He came out and said that Raheem took all the credit for that game. And players said, no, 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 hold up, pimp. You didn't put this game plan together. Mm-hmm, Christian. This season, next week, quarterback in the season. But yes, it was. Throw that out there. But the point is, it's still telling you that he's a liar. The point is this is a lie. The point is of this, he's a liar. that he cannot be trusted, and he needs to be done here in Atlanta. Sutton, that's the guy, man. So this isn't the first time Raheem has come out and looked out for himself and tried to cover up some stuff. Raheem has a history of this. There's a reason why Terry Fontenot went out and got all these players for defense on the defense side of the ball. Because he's taking so much heat for guys like Terry Fontenot, not Terry Fontenot, not Kirk Cousins, well, the Kirk Cousins thing for signing Kirk Cousins, um, drafting of Kyle Pitts. Like, he's getting a lot of heat for all this stuff. So he went out and got Leonard Floyd, Jalen Walker, um, James Pierce Jr., like Watts, like Bauman, like he went out and got all these players on the defense side of the ball, so he can cover himself and say, "Look, I gave this man everything that he needed." He trying to save his up because he already shown Raheem Morris that he's gonna try to look out for the people he loves and he care about. Those guys don't know each other like that. They told you that. They told you Terry Fontenot and Raheem ain't friends like that. They just business partners. Mm-hmm. So it had the game plan. Old Brick was the one that called plays, and Raheem never mentioned any of that. He took all the credit for that, and the players did not like that. They didn't appreciate that he took all the credit for what Old Brick and Sutton did. Bob Sutton, I don't know. And players came out to Sutton's defense, say he put that game for them. He came out there. So Raheem always has a history of being able to take credit when credit benefits him, but when it doesn't benefit him, guess what he's gonna do? He's gonna bring in the Jimmy Lakes of the world, knowing damn well Jimmy Lake don't have a lot of experience. So if the defense plays bad, guess what happens? He got a fall guy. Just saying, y'all. I want everybody to really pay attention to a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that this dude does that's just like I'm hoping that the Falcons could get it together, but I just don't trust Raheem to make do the right thing. And like I said, I truly hope I am wrong. But the fact that Kirk Cousins come out and stated this right now that he just didn't want to lose his job, the Falcons are in a position now that I don't know if another team would want Kirk Cousins after hearing stuff like this. And I was talking the truth, and truth was like, "Look, man, how about we just get rid of this dude because I don't want any type of, I don't want that shit to spill over into the locker room." Problem is, it already has. And the guy responsible for this is the guy we looking at in these press conferences. It already has. These players know at the end of the day, can we really trust Raheem Morris to make the right decision to help us get to the playoffs? They're already looking at him sideways because Kirk Cousins was playing like absolute horseshit, throwing. I mean, this dude was absolute garbage, and he did nothing about it. You don't think these players are looking at him sideways after he done pulled that shit? People can say one thing on camera, but what they really feeling, can you really trust Raheem after this? And this guy done had games where all we had to do was win one game to be the NFC South champions. And we couldn't do that because our coach refused to change the game plan and focus on running the ball, checking it down, running the clock. He didn't want to do that. He kept marching Kirk Cousins out there like he was healthy. Everybody in the universe could see that this guy was not healthy. How do I know this to be true? Because everybody, like the whole thing leading up to Kirk Cousins even starting, is he healthy? Is he healthy? Is he healthy? Because he wasn't even, practicing much. He wasn't even running a lot at training camp. And that's what the story behind all of this. This is why I wanted Raheem fired after last season because he don't care about the team and the organization. Like you can tell he's just in it for himself to make himself look good. So what the Atlanta Falcons have to do in this position is look, they got to cover themselves, and I think Terry Fontenot and the team they cover themselves when it comes down to certain coaches. Because believe it or not, coaches, there's a lot of guys in this NFL they selfish. They're looking out for themselves. I'm telling you right now. Dan Quinn did the exact same thing. Brian Cox, he had this defense getting after it. They were getting a lot of sacks. He was an outside linebacker, pass rush guy. They fired him. Richard Smith fired him. Marco Emmanuel fired him. This guy have a whole history of taking credit for what other coaches are doing, getting head coaching jobs, and getting rid of them. Dan Quinn, he done it 3, 4 times already. He's already done this so many times. This dude, Kirk Cousins and Raheem cannot be trusted. Raheem can't be trusted, yo. Because of a quarterback to come out, I'm not. Look, that Chris, you're 1,000% sure. This was an article that was a series that was done months ago. But the fact of the matter of this, Kirk Cousins coming out and stating that he was hurt. He knew he was hurt, but he said he read Drew Brees' book and saying that I will never let a backup come in and take my job. Even if it was for the better of the team, the Atlanta Falcons were in a position where they needed to get to the playoffs. They wanted to get to the playoffs. Sometimes shit happens where quarterbacks and players don't get their job done. Their jobs back, whether it's injury, money, play. Sometimes it happens. And a guy like Kirk Cousins that has made $300 million had no reason to sit up here and be selfish. Bro, you done made $300 million in your career. That's the crazy part about it. Post Cracker, what's going on? How you doing? I feel like Terry Note did the same thing with Jalen Walker and JP fans wanting him out. So I believe he was thinking, like, I'm going to get the UGA player out the draft, ship them up, and I'm going to get who I really want. Um, I just think Jalen Walker was just one of the better players in that draft on the edge. So I do agree with you, but Jalen Walker was clearly one of the best. Like that dude was a monster in college. So I don't I think it had something to do with that to an extent. But Jalen Walker's a dog, man. That dude is a dog. And then JP, I agree with that. You just look, he covered himself because he see that guy like Terry Fontenot see that guy like Raheem Morris. They looking out for themselves. So guess what he gonna do? You doing it? I'ma do it. I see shit. I gotta cover myself around here. I ain't gonna be no fool and take all the blame. No. So he did exactly that. And if you have to appease the fans to do so, to get better get seen in a better light, you got to do what you got to do. That's just smart. That's just smart on his behalf. So when it comes down to this Kirk Cousins and Raheem scenario, I just think personally, you just it really just pisses me off. I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. It pisses me off because a guy we were literally a two game. All we had to do was win. We were 6-3. All we had to do was really win two games down that stretch, and we couldn't even do that. A 4 game stretch. All we had to do was win is 1 or 2 games. I think it was like a 4 or 5 game stretch where all we had to do was win 2 games, and we couldn't even do that because Kirk Cousins was playing so bad. And our head coach is watching and watching because it's my personal belief that he promised Kirk, like, look, you're gonna be the guy for at least 2 years for the Atlanta Falcons. At least a year, I'll say that. And we're gonna get Mike Penix ready in year 2. And I think the plan changed and Kirk said, "Oh, whoa, 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 not so fast. Oh, y'all gonna do this to me? All right, I'm gonna purposely screw y'all over. I'm gonna purposely screw y'all over." So that's me when it comes down to Raheem, Kirk Cousins. I don't know if Raheem is the guy for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if Jeff Ulbrich is the guy for the Atlanta Falcons. But I think I will say this, and this is probably a hot take. You probably heard me say this before, but I know you've heard Kev say, K Styles say this, but what if Jeff Ulbrich was the guy that they brought in to replace Raheem if he doesn't get it done? They have familiarity with him. He knows the defense. He's helped build a team right here. You got Zach Robinson as the offensive coordinator. You can retain him as offensive coordinator with the team and hire Jeff Ulbrich as the head coach. All you gotta do is just you get rid of Raheem. Just saying. Football God said otherwise. They wanted Kirk Cousins bench. And like I said, man, they look at the end of the day. I don't respect nothing that Kirk Cousins stands for. Nothing. He knew he was hurt. He knew he was hurting the team over and over and over again. And by his own words, by his own admission, he didn't want to come off the field to help the team win because he thought he was never going to get his job back. A guy that made $300 million, you still being selfish at this point. Bro, you done had a hell of a career. I will understand if Kirk Cousins was a scrub, but bro, you're not a scrub. Why you still got that mentality after you made $300 million? Me personally, if I made $300 million at that particular point, 35 coming off Achilles, I'm not gonna get too upset about a young cat coming in. He's the new hot thing. Hey man, if the motherfucker got talent and he better than me, like shit, like let me take this back seat. Shit, let me get the young guy some help. Do the best I can for him. That's just me. I've heard stories where Peyton Manning, when he was in Denver, he was help grooming guys like Brock Osweiler or whatever his name is. Like a lot of guys would help grooming a lot of young quarterbacks. The whole Peyton Manning's family is responsible for guys like C.J. Stroud and all these guys for helping young quarterbacks become better. But we got guys like Kirk Cousins. He don't give a shit about help grooming young talent because he just out for himself. I want my money. I want to be the starter. I want to be the center of attention. He telling y'all. Same thing with Shanahan. If he gets fired, yeah, Robert Salah end up being. I think that's the truth. I think San Francisco doing the exact same thing what the Atlanta Falcons are doing, in my opinion. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I can see them making Zach Robinson head coach keep continuity with the offense. I wholeheartedly agree with you. This is a scenario that I stated last year. I don't know if I opened up publicly about it, but did a show with it. But I talked about this privately with the fellas that I wouldn't be surprised if Zach Robinson ended up being the head coach because he was already offered a head coaching job at his alma mater. So there are, some interest with him being a head coach. So when it all comes down to it, I think the Falcons just have to do a better job as a coaching staff, as an organization. When they see something wrong, address it then. If a quarterback isn't playing well, there are things you could do. You know what I'm saying? Change the offense. The quarterback ain't playing. Dumb down the offense. Stop trying to throw the ball 50 times a game. Until that quarterback gets in the groove, calm it down. Throw the ball to the tight end. Throw the ball dump the ball out of the backfield to your running back. Tyler here, Bijan Robinson. You got guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield and make plays. You don't have to always throw the ball 50 yards down the damn field with big plays all the time. Get the ball out of his hand. Get the quarterback in the rhythm. Get his confidence back. But they didn't do that. They kept staying in the same offense, run the same plays, and he kept getting picked off, and he could not throw the ball down the field at all. The Falcons just kept on like nothing ever happened, nothing ever changed. We all saw that Kirk Cousins was hurt. The offensive line was damn near kicking him off the damn ground after every play, after every play. So to Chrissy's point, like I said, this is an article that was written, a story that was written back then. But the point is, with this, the fact that Kirk knew, the fact that Kirk lied 2 times. He lied to us saying that he was happy in Minnesota. You wasn't happy in Minnesota because you wasn't getting paid. That's why you left. You thought you had gotten over on Minnesota by coming to Atlanta and getting $100 million. You tried to be. You tried to say, "See, I'm that man. See, y'all was wrong. Ha, na, 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 na. See, Minnesota. I got more money. Y'all said I couldn't get it. That's what Kirk tried to do. That's what he was doing. Nah, nanny boo boo. I got $100 million. That's all Kurt did. He wasn't thinking about. He wasn't happy. He didn't care about winning. He was trying to get another check. He was trying to prove to Minnesota that he could get another check and quote unquote still win at the same time. But it was mostly about him getting paid. And then to come out and say you came out and said that the Atlanta Falcons caught you off guard. You knew they were going to draft a quarterback. The Falcons have never said they weren't going to draft in the first round. If they told you, then I'm wrong. But at the end of the day, they didn't completely 110% lie to you because they told you they were going to get another quarterback. You were just dumb enough to believe the nonsense. Because at the end of the day, you're not the only one that's a shrewd business partner. This is the NFL. We've seen guys like Tom Brady being able to walk after winning 5 championships. Who the fuck do you think you are, Kirk Cousins, to think that you not gonna be screwed over? They screwed over Joe Montana. They screwed over Steve Young. They screwed over Tom Brady. All these guys have been done. Once they feel like you're done as an organization and you can no longer live up to the expectations that they have for you, you done, bro. Thank you for your accomplishment and thank you for doing whatever you had to do for our organization, but you done. Who the hell do you think you are thinking you were special because they told you that they weren't going to draft a quarterback? Are you believe that shit? This is business. Business ain't fair. And anybody that believes that business is fair is crazy. If Kirk, if Penix is Kirk's replacement, the next viable option for Morris is Ulbrich, especially if the defense changes this season is successful. I'm telling you, I'm telling you. Ding, 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 ding. If the defense is successful and Raheem and for whatever reason, tell him Raheem better get his shit together because if he don't get his stuff together, the defense improve, and for whatever reason, the offense, I, I would say they decline, but they don't reach full potential, and we miss the playoffs. Raheem out of here. The defense improved under Jeff Ulbrich guidance, and then the offense tails off for whatever reason. God forbid that happen. But if this happened and we miss the playoffs, Jeff Ulbrich is gonna be the head coach. He's gonna get strong consideration to be a head coach. So, like I said, I just don't believe Kirk is the human being that he say he is. Y'all, look, I don't care. Your actions speak louder than your words. This guy's actions have told you that he's selfish, he wants money, and he's looking out for nobody but himself. His actions say that. When he had an opportunity to help another young quarterback, guess what he did? Nothing. He said, "Nope, I'm not giving up my job. I don't give a damn who it is. I'm not giving up my spot. I don't care if my arm falling off. And we're trying to hurry up and get to a Super Bowl. It could have been one of those. It could have been one of those situations where Kirk Cousins is hurt. We need to get him in. We need to sit him down for at least 2 weeks or so, get a little bit of rehab, get him a little bit more healthy, and then you know play Penix for a couple games, get into the playoffs, and then we get to the playoffs, throw him back in there. But no, you didn't want to do that. You didn't want to do what's best for the team. You could have just said, "Hey, bro, I will rehab for the next couple of games." But I'm still the starter. I'm positive that they would have been. the organization, Raheem would have taken that because his love for Kirk Cousins. I think he would have taken that in consideration. I understand that Michael Penix understand that this is the NFL and you have to wait your turn, but to sit up here and try to pretend as if you know you're not selfish and the Falcon did you wrong, like no, the Falcon tried to get to this. The Falcon gave you $100 million for 2 years guaranteed. You knew it was 2 years guaranteed. You look at that contract, it wasn't a 4 years guaranteed or 3 years guaranteed like most quarterbacks get with their guaranteed money. Most quarterbacks get most quarterbacks the Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jacksons, like most of those guys getting about 3 to 4 years of guaranteed money. Most quarterbacks get about 3 to 4 guaranteed, 3 to 4 years of guaranteed money. hmm So Kirk Cousins only got two. He got 2 years of guaranteed. Does anybody know why the Atlanta Falcons only give him 2 years of guaranteed money? Let me look at Lamar Jackson's contract because it tells you everything when it comes down to it. So Lamar, he got 3 years. Okay, 3 years of guaranteed money. So it went from 43, 74, and 74, and then 28. There's an out in 28 would have probably end up with an extension in 2028. So those are 3 years, about 3 years, yeah, 25, 26, 27 of guaranteed money. Okay, most quarterbacks only get that 3 years of guaranteed. I told you guys a while back that a lot of these NFL organizations are not going to sign these quarterbacks to anything longer than 2 to 3 years because it's bad for your salary cap. So that's why you're seeing bigger cap numbers, 50 million, 40 million, 30 million with these wide receivers and DBs. Like they're getting a large sum of money, but this large sum of money is only done after 2 years, 2 to 3 years. Most most guys, most contracts are done after 2 years. Most of them. The solid starters after 2 years. You very seldom see solid starters get that third and fourth year of guaranteed money. Guys like Patrick Mahomes get those 3 to 4, that 3 to 4 year extra year. But when you have that third and fourth, they usually have void years after that. But Kirk Cousins only got 2 years of guaranteed money. So Kirk knew this is not like all this is a lie for Kirk Cousins. All this is just lies, bro. Hey, Will, the thrill. What's going on? All of this is about Kirk Cousins saying he was bamboozled and caught off guard. You wasn't caught off guard, dude. You only got 2 years of guaranteed money. You got 2 years. No, 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 no. Let me take that back because he got 100 million guaranteed. He just got $100 million guaranteed. Most of that came in within the first 2 years. But that second year, he got a $10 million that was going to add to it if he was on the roster. So based on the structure of the contract, you can scientifically prove that Kirk Cousins is alive just by looking at the structure of the contract. Because he got $90 million up front. That was guaranteed that he was going to get that $90 million. The 10 million came if he was still on the roster. Why would the Atlanta Falcons write that in the contract if they were going to keep him? If Kirk Cousins was taken off guard, Kirk knew. Kirk knew he was just going to get a free $90 million. And the fact that he's still on the roster now, and that bonus that we talking about, that $10 million bonus, kicks in year two. So he got $90 million just for the first year. That was going to be guaranteed anyway. But that extra $10 million came via this year if he was still on the roster. So Kirk knew all along there was going to be a 1 year deal, maybe a 2 year deal. He knew it. There's no way that Kirk Cousins did not know. He's a liar. Look at this. Look, the contract tells you everything, y'all. That's it right here. The team owner said, look at the contract. Y'all see the contract for itself. $90 million in the first. The contract is stretched out, but he had already. It didn't matter if he was with the team. Those $90 million. It didn't mean it doesn't. In his first 2 years, it didn't matter if he was still on the roster. He was getting that $90 million just for signing the contract and playing that first year with them. That was guaranteed. The other 10 million was as if he was on the roster. So now he's on the roster, he got $100 million. So Kirk knew all along that this wasn't a long term deal. But he's up here trying to trade like he's a bad guy because he's trying to get another bag. He's trying to bamboozle another team to get him another contract. That's what he really mad at. The dude ain't innocent, y'all. Everybody that say they're a Christian ain't a Christian. But I ain't gonna get into his religious beliefs. But like I said, the dude ain't as innocent as everybody think he is. That dude is a manipulator. Some of these NFL contracts need team options. I wholeheartedly agree. Yep, I wholeheartedly agree. That's what we have in the NBA, and I believe we have it in baseball as well. But there's no way that Kirk Cousins didn't believe, like he knew that there was possibly a 1 year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. He knew that. Ain't no way he taking out guard. No way, Jose, he was taking out guard by this. He's a liar. I can comfortably say that Kirk Cousins is a liar by he saying he was taken out guard by the Atlanta Falcons. He knew that they were going to take a quarterback. The fact that they took it in the first round is why he's upset, which is stupid to me because your contract it only guaranteed you $90 million. It didn't guarantee you 2 years. Let me say that again. His contract didn't guarantee him 2 years with the Atlanta Falcons. His contract guaranteed him $90 million for the first year just for signing the contract. And then after that first year, the second year, you're gonna get the extra $10 million just for being on the roster. Gotta look at these contracts and then see what these players saying and see if he's telling a lie. The contracts will tell you everything. Because if he didn't like the contract to begin with, if he didn't like the contract, he wouldn't have signed it to begin with.
Nobody wants to lose their starting job, but acting like it's the Falcons' fault. You played poorly and the other guy played better. It's just dumb. Now that's the problem that I have. He's trying to act like it's just all the Falcons' fault. It's all the Falcons. No, you were injured. You played like absolute trash, and your head coach tried to do everything to give you a shot. And Raheem did everything he possibly could as a head coach to give this man the opportunity. Even when it came down to making himself look stupid and putting his own job on him, he did that. And for you to sit up here months later and say, "Oh, I was hurt. I just didn't want to lose my job to Michael Penix." But come on, man. I want to hear. You want me to believe that the stuff that you saying? Oh, he's a nice Christian guy. Okay, if that's what if that's what Christians do, I don't want no parts of it. Even though I am myself, but if that's what Christian people do, most people gonna be like, nah, fuck that. I don't need that if that's what Christianity is about. Looking out for myself, not giving me an opportunity because I want. Nope, you didn't care about the family. You didn't care about the team. You cared about yourself. Selfish. And that's business. Instead, he seen the money on the contract and said, ha ha, Minnesota, look at what I got. That's exactly what he did. So, Mark, you're saying is that the Falcons actually signed him on a good contract, only paying him 45 over 2 years with a $10 million. I mean, the 90 million he got 70. The thing is that it's a guaranteed money, so it's not so much the years. What happens is with the contract, when you sign a contract for 4 years, $80 million, that's a potential if it gets to that point. But oftentimes, what happens is to kind of avoid getting to that third and fourth year, they have guaranteed money. So the guaranteed money is what players are searching for because they're not going to get the whole $180 million. That's just the total worth of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to an auction. A guy say, "Hey, I'm selling this for $300." One guy say, "Hey, look, I give you 250 for it." And then he looking at for the next guy. Nah, man, I give you 350 for it. And the price keep going up and keep going up. Soon, somebody gonna say, "All right, this is the cap. This is all we say. This is what we're capping this price at this product at." So the contract is priced at 180,000, 180 million, excuse me. But the guaranteed money or what you're guaranteed to get out of this product is $100 million. So the years aren't as important as the guaranteed money. Okay, let me say that again. The years of said contract isn't as important as the guaranteed money. The guaranteed money means more to players because they're going to get it. What happens is with their $100 million for the organization because they only get 280, close to $280 million for the entire year. The organization has a set amount of money that they're going to be able to allocate to said players because of the salary cap. So what they do is sometimes they give players a front loader or they back loader, but they're trying to structure the contracts under a certain number of $280 million. So basically, I guarantee somebody, hey, I'm gonna give you $100, but next week, this week I'm gonna give you 50. Next week I'm gonna give you 25, and then next I'm gonna give you 25. You still promise him $100, but you're gonna get him over a series of time. That's how the contracts work in the NFL. You just promise him you're going to give him $100 million. The contract in itself is $180 million. It's just like going to a job, you're a contractor or something. Like you had the potential of getting this amount of money. But if you bring in Joe and sister and this person and that person and that person, well, your cut gonna go down because guess what? There's a lot of people involved with it now. So it's not you're not gonna have the potential to get most of the money because more people involved. So that's the same thing with players. You got more valuable players on your team, your value start to go down. The money that you're able to make goes down. This is why a guy like Julio Jones had a problem with Calvin Ridley, Devontae Freeman, and all these guys because they're no longer the center of attention. When you got Devontae Freeman, Matt Ryan, Tony Gonzalez, Julio Jones, Roddy White, all these other players that are starting to make an impact, well, a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of big time wide receivers get upset because they couldn't gonna start going down because now they got to share the money, and most players ain't gonna want to share the load. They want it all for themselves, and this is Kirk Cousins. But the thing is with that, being able to share the load for the organization, it's best for you to have a multitude of good players because you won't be forced into giving players like Julio Jones at the age of 32, 66, down that $70 million guarantee because you need him because he's the only threat. That's why it's always good to constantly develop players and have somebody in line to replace certain guys so you won't be bullied into paying guys $200 million, for the quality of play that they are no longer exhibiting anymore. And sometimes great players don't understand that I can't pay you top dollar every time you want it because you're no longer the same player. They have a real hard. Well, I did this for 15 years and you can't give me this. No, I can't give it to you. I can't give you that no more. You're no longer the same player. This was Kirk Cousins on. He's no longer the same player, but in his head, because he's had 5, 6, 7, 8 years of success, he believes he's still that type of player. But when actuality, his value, his injuries, the, his value as a quarterback has diminished because he has Achilles. A lot of these players don't understand that they're not the same player. So they try to pull moves like Kirk Cousins. So, like I said, that right there, um, that's right there why a lot of owners, including Arthur Blank, they don't like to pay a lot of these players like Lamar Jackson all this money because like they don't have quality players on the roster. In order to have quality players on the roster, like to be honest, you got to be able to have X amount of dollars because if you can't pay, like you're going to have to pay good players. Period. Point blank. When you draft guys in the first round, you still got to pay them millions of dollars. It's inevitable. Mike said he wanted a quarterback, so they went out and got a quarterback. Most proven one. I'm sure Blaine didn't want to see $100 million just sitting on the bench. That's why Raheem better win. I see. The thing is, they knew there was a risk. The Falcons just wanted to improve the quarterback position. You know, I don't know if Arthur Blank had Kirk Cousins in mind. Him as an owner, all he said, look, y'all need to build me y'all need to get me a quarterback in here. That's all he asked for. Whether Arthur Blank said he liked or he wants Michael Penix, that's to be determined. Unless he comes out and says, "Yeah, I wanted Michael Penix to represent my franchise." I don't know if he's ever said that, but Arthur Blank said, "You just need to get me a quarterback." I had Michael Vick, I had Matt Ryan, Desmond ain't it, Marcus Mariota ain't it, Taylor Heineke ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to get me a quarterback. Whether or not he wanted Kirk Cousins is yet to be determined. Now he signed off on it because Kirk Cousins has a history in the NFL of being a very good quarterback. So he wasn't opposed to it. But to say that he wanted Kirk Cousins, I don't think that. I do believe that he wanted Michael Penix. So they had a plan in place. And I think that's the thing. They had a plan in place of what they wanted at quarterback. And Michael Penix fits he fit that. So I'm not gonna say that he wanted Kirk Cousins. I think when you've had bad quarterback play for the last 4 to 5 years, inconsistent quarterback play for the last 4 to 5 years, 4 years or so, at some point you're gonna say, "All right, bro, we need a quarterback. The hell with this. Give me a young stud." And I think that's what Arthur Blank wanted. I don't know if he wanted. I don't know if he wanted him like that in Kirk Cousins. I think it just didn't work out. It worked for a little bit, and it didn't. And that's the thing Terry Fontenot has always been very good at, is being able to work contracts. You're absolutely right about that. But like I said, I don't have a problem with 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 Kirk Cousins now, because at the end of the day, Michael Penix is our quarterback. But I do know Kurt is a liar and he cannot be trusted. He's a liar. He lied, and he's just trying to cover himself. So far, he hasn't said nothing. The timing of articles is always media driven. You know what I'm saying? But I think what happened with ESPN at this particular point, I think they just informing the Atlanta Falcons of how much of a liar and Kurt is. I don't think Kurt is telling the truth. He lied. All of a sudden now you want to sit there and say, when you told, oh, you went from I'm 100% to no, I was hurt, and oh, I knew all along, and I just didn't want to lose my job. And you cost the Atlanta Falcons. That's not a good teammate. So it could be that ESPN trying to drive down the value of Kirk Cousins so the Atlanta Falcons won't be able to get a first or second round pick or whatever the case may be. And it'll be just a total loss for the Atlanta Falcons. They could be doing that. So with that being said, man, y'all continue to support your boy here at Mad Mike Sports. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed what we do over here, whether it's Atlanta Falcons related, NFL related, I got I think I got a video I'm gonna upload, and I talked about Jaden Daniels a little bit more in depth. So if y'all um really would like to donate to the channel, I would love for you guys to support us and joining the Mad Mike membership is just $1.99 a month. That's it. $1.99 a month, y'all. Smoke a blunt a month with your boy Mad Mike, Six Man K Style, True Talk Sports, all of us. $1.99. We're gonna have some exclusive content I'm gonna put out throughout the year. Um, I may even have some live shows uh, with the members where we just talk about um, things around the league that may not be in depth, but like I said, just throw some things out there in the membership that I have not. I got a few. I actually did the. Um, I've already done the NFC predictions, so that is available in the Mad Mike membership. But like I said, y'all just tell me what y'all want for the Mad Mike membership, and I will give you exactly that in terms of content and whatnot. Um, I don't know if I'll be able to do a lot of film, but we'll probably work some out at some point in time. But like I said, just support us, man. If you would just like to support us with the Mad Mike membership, it's $1.99 a month. Like I said, it truly does help. Believe it or not, you'd be surprised how much it really helps just joining the Mad Mike membership and just supporting the channel. But like I said, we love to be able to give back to fellow content creators. We got guys like King Richie. We got the international AFN membership member, crew member, brethren, and Will the Thrill Wardell. He's gonna have his show. Like I said, every dime that y'all have, man, helps us to be able to continue to help create more people that's content creators in this Falcons niche. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we do. So your 199 does help. So I appreciate it. Continue to support us here at Mad Mike Sports. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed what we do over here, like I said, just support us by 199 a month. You don't have to give super chats every single time, but we do and would appreciate it if you became a member. All right, not only Mad Mike Sports, but 6MK Live with a 6 man. All right, just support our members. Membership, Mad Mike membership. Like I said, we're gonna have exclusive content for those. Now, like I said, I already got a Jaden Daniels video that I'm gonna be uploading, and it's gonna only be available via the member. So, Christy, Big Ant, a lot of people are already members of the channel. So I truly appreciate everybody that continues to support what we do over here. And like I said, we're going to continue to help build more Falcon content creators and to help people find their strengths, find their love and their passion. That's what we about over here. So with that being said, that's all I got to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. Like I said, Will is a part of it. So we hold our word when we talk about helping people find their voice. There's nothing more important than help finding where you belong in things. And that's what we thrive on. That's what I thrive on. I'm out of here, man. Peace.
Put your eyes back in your head.
I got like flavor. What me?
Pry their eyes open and force them to see the truth. We will skin the sheep and sacrifice the weak. The unholy alliance has arrived.